Dr. Elias Harper had never been so far from Earth. As he stepped off the sleek transport hovering above the alien capital, he took a deep breath of the sweet, metallic air. The city below stretched like a shimmering mosaic of towers and bridges, all glowing with colors he had never seen before. He adjusted his jacket and felt the strange pull of the planet's gravity, slightly heavier than Earth's but not uncomfortable. This was the kind of assignment that most humans would dream of, and yet, standing on the observation platform, Elias felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He was a biologist by training, but today, he was also a cultural ambassador, here to represent humans to a species whose biology was as alien as their architecture. The capital city, Lyranthia, was alive with movement. Alien citizens floated or hopped along magnetic pathways, their translucent skin glowing faintly in the sunlight. Many had multiple limbs, and their faces shifted in subtle, fluid patterns that Elias was still learning to read. Despite the initial intimidation, Elias felt a spark of curiosity. This was exactly why he had volunteered for the mission, to witness the extraordinary and to learn from it. His human instincts, a mixture of humor, determination, and adaptability, had already served him well in the past, and he hoped they would do so here too. The palace itself was breathtaking. Built from a material that shimmered like liquid crystal, it rose high into the sky with curves and spires that seemed impossible. Elias marveled at the design, noting how it combined both elegance and function. He followed his guide along a winding walkway, trying to keep his human posture steady, while secretly practicing the alien etiquette he had studied for weeks. Every movement, every word mattered here. One misstep could be interpreted as rudeness. Elias had already learned that humor, while appreciated on Earth, could be misread in this culture. Still, he hoped his natural curiosity would shine through. Inside the palace, the air hummed with energy. Aliens of various shapes and sizes moved gracefully across the grand hall. Elias tried to make mental notes of their forms, their expressions, and their interactions. He knew that understanding their biology and social behavior would be critical for his mission. But no matter how much he observed, he couldn't shake the feeling of being an outsider. Humans were simple in comparison, he reminded himself. Our emotions, our ways of communicating, our adaptability, that was our strength. He took a deep breath and reminded himself why he was here, not just to study, but to represent humanity with intelligence and integrity. The banquet was already in full swing when Elias entered. Long tables floated a few inches above the ground, laden with bioluminescent foods that shifted color as they reacted to the presence of each alien. Elias noticed that some of the food even seemed to respond to the mood of the diners, glowing brighter when laughter echoed through the hall. He kept his eyes forward, trying to focus on the task at hand, making a good impression. He had been warned that this event would include the royal family, and the princess herself, Lyranthia, was known for her sharp wit and relentless curiosity. When Lyranthia entered, Elias felt the air shift. She was taller than most of the other aliens, her form elegant and fluid, her skin glowing with a soft violet hue. Her eyes, larger than any human's, scanned the room with an intensity that made Elias' stomach flutter. She moved with a grace that seemed natural yet impossible, gliding toward the center of the hall where the banquet speakers would gather. Elias had studied her from a distance, reading reports and watching holographic recordings of her previous appearances, but nothing could have prepared him for the presence of a living, breathing alien princess in the same room. As the formal introductions began, Lyranthia's gaze eventually landed on him. Elias straightened, offering a respectful nod. The princess's smile was playful, almost mischievous. Then, in a clear voice that echoed throughout the hall, she said, "You claim to represent humans, yet I hear rumors about your species. Tell me, Dr. Harper, is it true that humans cannot breed year-round? That your biology limits you, making you inferior to us?" The room fell silent. Elias felt the weight of 100 alien eyes upon him. He knew that this question was not merely about biology. It was a test of composure, intelligence, and courage. He also sensed the challenge in her words, a spark of amusement that dared him to rise to it. He could have answered politely, deflecting the question with diplomacy. But something in Larathia's gaze, a mixture of curiosity and teasing, made him realize that a simple answer would not satisfy her. "No," he said finally, his voice steady. "It is not true. Humans have limitations, yes, but we are adaptable. Our biology allows us to thrive in a variety of environments, and our social structures let us form bonds that support reproduction throughout the year." He smiled lightly, hoping his confidence would reach her. "I can demonstrate this if you wish." A ripple of surprise ran through the crowd. Aliens were not used to humans speaking so openly, especially in front of royalty. Larathia's smile widened. "Oh, you would dare to prove it in front of us all." Her tone was playful, yet edged with authority. "Very well, Dr. Harper. You have our attention. Show us, if you can." Elias felt a thrill of excitement. This was the moment he had been preparing for, though he had not expected it to come so dramatically. He knew he could not rely on brute force or intimidation. Humans were not naturally strong in the physical sense compared to many alien species. But they were clever, adaptable, and inventive, qualities he intended to showcase. He requested a private lab space within the palace, explaining that he would need to use simulations and models rather than actual biological experiments involving humans. The aliens, though initially skeptical, were intrigued by his methodical approach. As he was escorted through corridors lined with flowing light panels, Elias reflected on what made humans special. It was not just the ability to reproduce. It was the ability to adapt, to cooperate, and to solve problems creatively. That was the real proof he intended to present. In the lab, Elias began his work. Using alien-compatible biosimulators, he demonstrated the human reproductive cycle, emphasizing flexibility rather than rigidity. He showed how humans could adjust to environmental changes, how hormonal cycles could synchronize with social and emotional contexts, and how strategic bonding allowed humans to maintain reproductive potential throughout the year. The aliens watched with wide eyes, fascinated by the sheer ingenuity and subtlety of human biology. Elias explained everything in clear, simple terms, avoiding technical jargon while making the concepts understandable even to species whose biology was radically different. As he worked, Larathia observed closely. She asked questions, sometimes teasing, sometimes genuinely curious. "And what about emotional compatibility?" she inquired. "Do humans rely on this to maintain reproductive readiness?" Elias nodded. "Exactly. Humans are social creatures. Our bonds are as important as our biology. We rely on cooperation, communication, and shared goals. That is why we can thrive in environments where others might fail." Hours passed, but Elias remained focused. The aliens grew more engaged with each demonstration, asking questions and offering observations. Elias welcomed the interaction, knowing that teaching them about human adaptability would be far more persuasive than simply stating facts. His diagrams, simulations, and analogies gradually painted a picture that even the most skeptical nobles could understand. By the time evening arrived, the alien observers were not only convinced that humans were capable of year-round reproduction, but also impressed by the intelligence, creativity, and resilience required to achieve it. Finally, Larathia approached him directly. Her eyes glowed faintly with amusement and admiration. "Dr. Harper," she said, her voice softening, "I must admit, I did not expect your species to be so clever. You have demonstrated more than biology today. You have shown patience, ingenuity, and courage. Perhaps humans are not as limited as we once believed." Elias smiled, relieved but careful not to show too much pride. "Thank you, Princess. I hope this is only the beginning of our mutual understanding. Humans have much to learn from other species as well, and I look forward to sharing knowledge and experiences." Larathia nodded, a rare and genuine smile crossing her features. "Then let this be the first step. You have proven your point, Dr. Harper. The palace, and perhaps the entire planet, has seen what humans can achieve when they combine intelligence with adaptability." As Elias left the lab, escorted back to his quarters, he felt a sense of accomplishment unlike any he had experienced before. He had not only defended the honor of his species, but he had also created the foundation for cross-cultural respect and curiosity. The challenge had been daunting, but humans thrived on challenges. It was in their nature to adapt, to learn, and to rise to unexpected tests. And in the heart of an alien capital, under the watchful eyes of a princess who demanded proof, humanity had made its mark. Elias Harper lay down that night, staring at the softly glowing ceiling of his quarters, and thought about the days ahead. The challenge was far from over. He would continue to work, to teach, and to build bridges between species. But for the first time, he felt truly seen, not just as a human visitor, but as a representative of a species capable of brilliance, creativity, and resilience. And that, he knew, was a victory that no one could take away. The morning sun of Lyranthia spilled over the palace like liquid gold, painting the crystal towers in shades of orange and violet. Dr. Elias Harper woke early, eager for the day ahead. Last night's demonstration had been a success, but he knew the real challenge was just beginning. It was one thing to explain human biology through diagrams and theory. It was another to show how humans could adapt, cooperate, and reproduce in ways alien societies had never imagined. He dressed quickly, adjusting the folds of his Earth-style jacket and straightening his tie. Today, the palace had arranged for him to use a specialized biolaboratory, one designed to study the reproduction of different species. Unlike the public lab he had used yesterday, this space was vast and filled with strange, floating instruments. Holographic projectors glowed with alien writing and symbols that Elias had learned to decipher over the past few days. Everything about it screamed sophistication. When he entered, Larathia was already there, standing beside a table of shimmering devices. Her violet skin seemed brighter in the early light, and her fluid movements gave her an elegance that left Elias momentarily speechless. She regarded him with that playful curiosity he had come to recognize. "Good morning, Dr. Harper," she said, her voice calm but teasing. "Are you ready to take your human claims further? The palace expects more than words today." Elias smiled. "I am ready, Princess. Today, you will see humans' adaptability, creativity, and cooperation in action." Larathia raised an eyebrow. "We shall see." She motioned to the lab, and Elias followed, careful to mimic her posture and gestures. Humans had long relied on social cues, and in this alien society, even the slightest error could be interpreted as disrespect. Elias was determined not to falter. He approached a large holographic table at the center of the lab. A soft light rose from its surface, forming a three-dimensional model of a human body. Around it floated representations of various alien species, including the Lyranthians themselves. Elias began to explain. "Humans," he said, "have evolved in many environments. Our bodies are flexible. Unlike many species here, we are not limited to one reproductive season. Instead, we rely on internal rhythms, emotional bonds, and cooperation to thrive throughout the year." Larathia leaned closer, examining the hologram. "But how do you demonstrate this? We cannot see humans reproducing year-round. Your species' privacy prevents us from observing such matters directly." Elias nodded, expecting the question. "We do not need to use actual reproduction to prove adaptability. Instead, we can use simulations and biomimetic models. These models behave like real human systems, allowing us to test scenarios, environmental changes, and social interactions. He tapped the table, and the holograms shifted. A glowing, simplified human figure appeared, followed by a series of small, orb-like devices that represented hormonal cycles. Elias manipulated them, showing how humans could maintain fertility across different climates, light cycles, and seasonal conditions. The aliens watched with fascination, their eyes wide as Elias explained each adjustment. "See here," he said, "humans can alter sleep patterns, diet, and stress levels to support reproductive health. Emotional connection is key. Our bonds allow us to cooperate and support each other, ensuring year-round readiness." Larathia's eyes glimmered. "Interesting. Your species relies on social bonds rather than purely biological cues, and you claim this allows year-round fertility." "Yes," Elias said. "Humans combine biology and cooperation in ways many species cannot. Adaptability is our strength." He paused for effect and then initiated a new hologram, a virtual environment that simulated Earth's changing seasons, extreme climates, and unpredictable events. Trees grew and fell, rivers flooded and dried, and human avatars moved through the landscape. "Observe how humans respond," Elias said. The avatars adjusted their routines. They sought shelter in winter, worked together to collect resources, and adapted their behaviors to each new challenge. At the same time, the simulation showed their reproductive cycles remaining consistent, maintained through emotional and social support. The aliens whispered among themselves, their voices like soft chimes. Some leaned closer to the table, trying to understand. Elias smiled, sensing the shift in attitude. Skepticism was giving way to curiosity. "Now," Elias continued, "let us test cooperation. Human reproduction is not only biological, it is social. We form partnerships, build families, and share responsibilities. This allows our species to remain resilient in the face of change." He activated another hologram, this time showing two human avatars meeting and interacting. Through gestures, speech, and subtle cues, they communicated, solved problems, and worked together. Small icons appeared above their heads to indicate emotional bonds strengthening. The simulation showed that as these bonds grew, the avatars' reproductive readiness stabilized. Larathia's eyes narrowed slightly. "You are saying your species' reproductive success depends on emotional intelligence?" Elias nodded. "Exactly. We have learned that collaboration, empathy, and adaptability are just as important as biology. And these traits allow us to thrive year-round, even under conditions that would limit other species." The room was silent for a moment. Then, one of the younger Lyranthian nobles spoke. "Fascinating. We always assumed strict seasonal cycles were superior. Perhaps humans have advantages we cannot see." Encouraged, Elias continued. "To demonstrate further, I propose an interactive experiment. We will simulate environmental changes and observe how human models adjust. Then, we will compare them to Lyranthian cycles." He tapped the holographic table again. The human avatars faced a series of unpredictable challenges: sudden temperature shifts, irregular light cycles, and limited resources. The avatars responded by modifying behavior, seeking help from partners, and using creative problem-solving to maintain stability. The reproductive readiness indicators remained steady, even under extreme conditions. Next, Elias activated the Lyranthian models. Their cycles were rigid, tightly linked to environmental cues. When the conditions changed unexpectedly, their readiness faltered. The difference was clear. Humans adapted. Lyranthians were constrained by their biology. Larathia's expression was unreadable. Elias held his breath, hoping his point had landed without offending her. Finally, she spoke. "Impressive. Humans do indeed show adaptability, but your simulations are controlled. How do you maintain this flexibility in real life with unpredictability and conflict?" Elias smiled. That is where culture and cooperation come in. Humans develop systems, families, communities, technology that support adaptation. We communicate, share knowledge, and care for one another. These systems reinforce our biology, allowing us to thrive in almost any condition. He activated one final hologram. It showed a diverse group of human avatars working together to solve a series of complex tasks. Bridges were built, food was shared, shelters constructed, and bonds strengthened. Every challenge that arose was met with collaboration and creativity. By the end of the simulation, the avatars remained healthy, happy, and ready to reproduce, regardless of season or environment. The Lyranthian observers leaned closer, murmuring in fascination. Larathia's violet eyes glimmered with admiration. "Dr. Harper," she said softly, "you have shown more than I expected. Not only can humans maintain reproductive potential year-round, but your species, ingenuity, and social systems make it possible. This is remarkable." Elias allowed himself a small, proud smile. "Thank you, Princess. Humans are not perfect, but our strength lies in adaptability, collaboration, and creativity. We thrive not by following rigid cycles, but by learning, adjusting, and working together." For a moment, the room was silent, the only sound the gentle hum of the holographic equipment. Then Larathia clapped lightly, her hands moving with fluid precision. The nobles around her joined in, some floating closer, some remaining at a distance, all captivated. "You have proven your point, Dr. Harper," she said, her tone a mixture of amusement and respect. "Humans are more remarkable than we believed. Perhaps we have much to learn from your species." Elias bowed slightly, feeling a rush of relief and pride. "I hope so, Princess. Mutual understanding benefits all species, and I am eager to continue sharing knowledge." As the experiment concluded, the aliens asked questions, took notes, and discussed what they had seen. Elias guided them patiently, answering queries and offering explanations without condescension. He realized that teaching others about humans' unique strengths was not just about pride, it was about building trust, curiosity, and collaboration. By mid-afternoon, Larathia approached him again. "Dr. Harper, you have exceeded my expectations. Not only have you proven that humans can adapt biologically, but you have shown the value of intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. These are qualities we admire." Elias chuckled softly. "Thank you, Princess, but humans learn from others as well. I look forward to learning from Lyranthians and from you in particular." She tilted her head, a gesture he had learned indicated amusement and interest. "Very well. Tomorrow we will explore more, how humans can thrive in partnership with alien species. Are you ready for that?" Elias nodded eagerly. "Absolutely. Learning together is the most important experiment of all." As he left the lab and walked through the palace corridors, Elias reflected on the day's success. He had faced skepticism, alien norms, and the weight of expectation. And yet, humans had prevailed not through strength or dominance, but through adaptability, intelligence, and social cooperation. That was the real proof of human capability. The sun was setting over the crystal towers of Lyranthia, casting long shadows across the palace. Elias paused to look out over the city, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The challenge had been daunting, but humans thrived on challenges. It was in their nature to adapt, to learn, and to rise to unexpected tests. And in the heart of an alien capital, under the gaze of a princess who demanded proof, humanity had shown its brilliance once more. The next morning, Dr. Elias Harper woke with a renewed sense of purpose. Yesterday's demonstrations had proven that humans could maintain reproductive potential year-round, using intelligence, social bonds, and adaptability. But Elias knew the princess and her court were still skeptical in one area: humans' ability to cooperate creatively under pressure. Demonstrations with holograms were impressive, but nothing could replace a real-time test. Today, he would show them how humans could solve problems, adapt quickly, and work together, qualities that in many ways were as remarkable as biology itself. He arrived at the palace courtyard to find Larathia waiting. The space was vast, with gently floating platforms forming a natural maze of pathways and bridges. Plants with translucent leaves glowed softly, reacting to the movement of anyone nearby. The courtyard seemed alive, and Elias felt a thrill at the thought of using it for interactive exercises. "Good morning, Dr. Harper," Larathia said, her voice calm but playful. "Today, we will see if your species can handle unpredictability and collaboration. Are you prepared?" "I am," Elias replied, smiling. "Humans thrive on collaboration and problem-solving. We adapt when we must and learn from every situation. You will see this today." Larathia gestured to the floating platforms. "Very well. We will begin with a cooperative challenge. You will work with our young nobles to complete a series of tasks. Success will demonstrate the qualities you claim humans possess." Elia's heart quickened. A chance to interact directly with the Lyranthians, especially with the younger generation, was exactly the opportunity he had hoped for. Unlike simulations, this exercise would show human ingenuity in real time. The first task appeared as a holographic projection in the center of the courtyard. It was a puzzle-like challenge. A series of floating objects needed to be moved from one platform to another in a specific sequence. The platforms shifted slightly as they were touched, and some of the objects responded only to particular movements or cooperation between two or more individuals. Elias studied the puzzle carefully. On Earth, humans had learned to solve complex problems through trial, error, communication, and teamwork. He immediately devised a strategy. "We will work together, observing each object, testing movements, and sharing information," he said. "Communication and cooperation will be key." The young Lyranthians watched, some skeptical, others intrigued. Elias invited them to try the puzzle with him. At first, the alien nobles were hesitant. Their culture valued precision and individual skill, and working in teams for problem-solving was not common. Elias encouraged them patiently, demonstrating how each movement could affect the outcome. Slowly, they began to engage. The first few attempts failed, objects slipping or platforms shifting unexpectedly, but Elias remained calm. "Failure is part of learning," he said. "Observe, adjust, and try again. Humans improve by experimenting and communicating." Gradually, the group began to synchronize their movements. Elias noticed subtle patterns in the aliens' reactions and suggested small adjustments. "If we move together and time our actions, the objects will respond correctly," he said. The young nobles tried his method, and to their surprise, it worked. The objects settled into place, the puzzle completed successfully. The crowd of observers, floating above the courtyard, murmured in amazement. Larathia's violet eyes sparkled. "Humans indeed teach cooperation through example," she said. "You have shown patience, observation, and guidance. I am impressed." Elias allowed himself a quiet smile. One challenge down, and the message was already clear. Humans could work with others, adapt to new rules, and lead through cooperation rather than authority. The next task was even more challenging. A holographic projection appeared above the courtyard, displaying a large, simulated ecosystem. It included water currents, plant life, and small alien creatures. The objective was to balance the ecosystem, ensure water distribution, maintain plant health, and protect the creatures, all while adapting to sudden environmental changes. Elias studied the simulation. Humans understand systems. We learn to see patterns, anticipate challenges, and work creatively to solve problems. We will approach this as a team, observing and responding together. The young nobles hesitated at first. Unlike the physical puzzle, this challenge required more abstract thinking and planning. Elias encouraged them to experiment. Notice the interactions between water, plants, and creatures. Predict the effects of your actions, but be ready to adjust. The simulation began. Water currents shifted unpredictably, plants wilted or thrived based on placement, and the creatures responded in surprising ways. The team struggled initially, making small errors that threatened to destabilize the ecosystem. Elias remained calmly pointing out patterns and suggesting strategies. "Observe how the water spreads," he said. "If we redirect it here, the plants will recover. Watch the creatures' behavior, they are indicators of the system's health." Slowly, the group began to coordinate. Humans and aliens communicated through gestures, simple words, and intuitive cues. When a plant needed water, one member redirected the current. When a creature strayed, another guided it back. Elias marveled at the aliens' rapid learning and adaptability, realizing that collaboration across species could yield unexpected results. By the end of the exercise, the simulated ecosystem was balanced. The young nobles gasped in amazement, their faces glowing with pride. Larathia watched from above, her expression thoughtful. "You have demonstrated more than adaptability," she said. "Humans teach observation, cooperation, and creative problem-solving. You turn challenges into opportunities." Elias nodded. "That is what humans do best. We thrive in unpredictable environments by working together and learning quickly. These qualities have allowed our species to survive and prosper on Earth, and they can do the same in partnership with others." The final task of the day was designed to be the most difficult. A holographic map appeared, displaying a complex cityscape with moving obstacles and changing pathways. The challenge was to guide virtual avatars from one side of the city to the other without collisions, delays, or errors. This required coordination, strategic thinking, and adaptability under pressure. Elias studied the map. "We will divide responsibilities. Each member of our team will focus on one section of the city, communicating changes and adjusting routes as needed." Humans excel at delegation and coordination, even in dynamic situations. The exercise began. Avatars moved quickly through the cityscape, occasionally encountering unexpected obstacles. At first, there was confusion. Routes overlapped, avatars collided, and progress slowed. Elias remained calm, reminding the team to communicate and observe. "Adjust as you go," he said. "React to the situation, not just your plan." The young Lyranthians began to adopt his approach. When one avatar faced an obstacle, another suggested an alternative path. Communication improved with each attempt, and the avatars moved more efficiently through the city. Elias guided them gently, offering suggestions without taking control. By the end, the avatars had reached their destination successfully. The young nobles cheered, laughing and clapping. Even the most skeptical among them appeared impressed. Larathia floated down to the courtyard, her violet glow brighter than usual. "Humans," she said, her voice filled with admiration, "do not merely adapt biologically. You observe, communicate, learn, and solve problems creatively. Your species thrives not because of strength alone, but because of intelligence, cooperation, and ingenuity." Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you, Princess. Humans learn from challenges, and we thrive when we work together. These qualities have allowed our species to survive in diverse environments and overcome obstacles that might defeat others." She nodded, her expression serious for a moment. "You have proven something remarkable today. Your species' strength lies not in dominance or rigidity, but in creativity and cooperation. Perhaps humans have much to teach us about partnership and adaptability." The rest of the afternoon passed with informal discussions and demonstrations. Elias showed simple Earth technologies, like water filtration systems and small mechanical devices, explaining how humans use observation, trial and error, and cooperation to solve problems. The young Lyranthians were fascinated, asking questions and testing the devices themselves. Elias enjoyed seeing their curiosity bloom, realizing that these interactions were building understanding and respect on both sides. As the sun dipped below the crystal towers of Lyranthia, casting long shadows across the courtyard, Elias felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had not only proven human adaptability biologically, but also demonstrated the species' ability to collaborate, innovate, and solve complex problems. The aliens had seen firsthand that humans were clever, resourceful, and capable of turning challenges into opportunities. Larathia approached him one last time before he left for the evening. Her expression was thoughtful, almost contemplative. Dr. Harper, you have shown us that humans are remarkable not because of physical superiority, but because of intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. These are qualities we admire and respect. Perhaps humans are more capable than we ever imagined. Elias smiled, feeling the weight of her words. Thank you, Princess. We hope to continue learning from each other. Together, humans and Lyranthians can achieve more than either species alone. She tilted her head slightly, a sign of approval he had come to recognize. Very well. Tomorrow, we will explore further how humans and Lyranthians can cooperate in ways that benefit both species. Are you prepared for that? Elias nodded eagerly. Absolutely. Learning together is the greatest experiment of all. As he returned to his quarters, he reflected on the day's success. Humans had once again demonstrated their strength, not through brute force, but through intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. They had solved puzzles, balanced ecosystems, and navigated complex cityscapes, all while working alongside a species whose culture was completely different. The crystal towers of Lyranthia glowed in the fading light, a reminder of how far Elias had come. He had faced skepticism, cultural differences, and the weight of expectation, and yet humanity had triumphed. It was a victory not of dominance, but of adaptability, ingenuity, and collaboration. And in the heart of an alien capital, under the watchful eyes of a princess who valued cleverness and curiosity, humans had proven once more that their greatest strength was not what they were born with, but how they thought, worked, and learned together. The morning light of Lyranthia spilled over the palace like warm liquid gold, touching the translucent towers and floating gardens with soft brilliance. Dr. Elias Harper woke with a sense of purpose and excitement. The previous days had been a whirlwind of demonstrations, simulations, and cooperative exercises. The aliens had seen humans' adaptability, problem-solving skills, and social intelligence firsthand. Today, Elias would take the next step, integration with Lyranthians in a collaborative project that combined their skills with his human creativity. He made his way to the palace courtyard, where a group of young Lyranthian nobles awaited him. Their violet-hued skin shimmered softly in the early light, and their fluid movements carried an elegance that made the human movements feel oddly rigid by comparison. Larathia was there as well, watching with a mixture of amusement and curiosity. She floated lightly above the group, her posture relaxed but her gaze sharp. "Good morning, Dr. Harper," she said, her voice calm yet energetic. "Today, we will see how humans work in partnership with Lyranthians. You have demonstrated adaptability and intelligence, but can you collaborate with our species to create something meaningful?" Elias smiled. "That is exactly what humans do best, Princess. We learn from others, adapt to their ways, and create solutions together." "I look forward to working with your people," Larathia nodded. "Very well, follow me." She guided Elias to a wide open area of the palace grounds, where platforms floated at different heights, surrounded by glowing gardens and sparkling water streams. The space had been prepared for collaborative projects, a place where creativity, problem-solving, and social cooperation could flourish. At the center of the area was a large holographic projection displaying a complex problem, a simulated ecosystem facing multiple challenges. Water flow was irregular, plant growth was uneven, and small creatures were moving in unpredictable patterns. The goal was to stabilize the system using both human ingenuity and Lyranthian knowledge. Elias studied the projection. "This is perfect," he said. Humans and Lyranthians each have unique strengths. Humans are creative, adaptable, and good at problem-solving under uncertainty. Lyranthians have precise control over environmental factors and keen observation skills. Together, we can stabilize this ecosystem efficiently. The young nobles looked at him skeptically at first. They were used to precise, rule-based solutions, and the idea of combining their methods with an unfamiliar species, creativity seemed risky. Elias understood their hesitation. "We will begin by observing," he said. "Notice patterns, share ideas, and experiment together. Mistakes are part of learning. Humans often learn best through trial and error." The team began their work. The Lyranthians adjusted water flows with careful precision, while Elias suggested creative modifications, small changes that would encourage plant growth and better support the creatures. At first, there were minor conflicts in approach. The Lyranthians were meticulous and methodical, while Elias encouraged experimentation and flexibility. "Observe the current patterns," Elias said. "If we shift this channel slightly, the water will reach more plants, but we must adjust gradually to avoid destabilizing the flow." A young Lyranthian frowned. "But that could harm the plants if it fails." Elias nodded. "True, but if we plan carefully and communicate constantly, we can test it safely. Humans often learn by taking calculated risks, then adjusting based on the results." Slowly, the group began to coordinate. Humans and Lyranthians communicated through gestures, simple words, and intuitive cues. The water flow stabilized, plant growth improved, and the creatures moved freely without distress. Small successes built confidence, and the group began experimenting more boldly, guided by Elia's encouragement. Larathia watched from above, her expression thoughtful. Humans teach collaboration not only by action, but by encouraging experimentation and trust. "You are turning our young nobles into active learners rather than passive observers." Elias smiled. "That is the idea, Princess. Humans learn best when they feel ownership and responsibility. Collaboration works best when everyone's ideas are valued and tested." As the day progressed, the group faced increasingly complex challenges. Some plants required precise lighting, others needed special nutrients, and the creatures occasionally disrupted systems unpredictably. Elias suggested creative solutions, while the Lyranthians applied their precision and careful observation. Together, they balanced the ecosystem successfully, stabilizing the water, plants, and creatures. The young nobles were amazed. "We have never solved a problem like this before," one said, his glowing eyes wide with wonder. "Humans approach it works, even with unexpected changes." Elias nodded. "That is adaptability. Humans combine observation, experimentation, and communication. We thrive by adjusting, learning, and working together." After the ecosystem was stabilized, Elias proposed another project, a structural challenge. Floating platforms had to be connected with bridges to allow creatures to move safely from one area to another. Materials were limited, and the bridges had to withstand shifting environmental conditions simulated in real time. The young Lyranthians examined the materials, lightweight crystals, flexible polymers, and glowing fibers. Elias suggested combining materials in creative ways, testing different designs, and adjusting based on feedback. "Humans excel at problem-solving with limited resources," he explained. "We experiment, adapt, and improve iteratively." The team began building. The first attempts failed, bridges collapsed or swayed too much. Elias encouraged patience and observation. "Failure is part of learning," he said. "Notice what works, what doesn't, and adjust." Gradually, the bridges became stable. Lyranthians applied precision, while humans introduced creative modifications. Some bridges even included small innovations the aliens had not considered, like retractable sections to accommodate environmental changes. The young nobles marveled at these ideas, realizing that humans' inventive thinking complemented their own structured methods perfectly. By late afternoon, the floating ecosystem was thriving, the bridges were complete, and the creatures moved freely. Larathia descended to the center of the courtyard, her violet glow softening in the evening light. "You have exceeded expectations, Dr. Harper," she said. "Not only have humans demonstrated adaptability, intelligence, and creativity, but they also inspire collaboration. Your species' approach encourages participation, learning, and innovation." Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you, Princess. Humans learn best when working together and exchanging ideas. Collaboration is not just a method, it is a strength of our species." Larathia smiled. "You have taught more than biology and problem-solving. You have shown social intelligence, cultural exchange, and teamwork. These are qualities we value greatly. Perhaps humans and Lyranthians can achieve much together." Elias felt a warm sense of pride. He had come to Lyranthia to prove human adaptability, but the true victory was in fostering mutual respect and cooperation. Humans had demonstrated that they could work with alien species, creating solutions that were greater than the sum of individual contributions. As evening approached, the group gathered to discuss their accomplishments. Lyranthians asked questions about human methods, while Elias explained Earth practices, emphasizing communication, iteration, and creativity. The young nobles were eager to try new ideas and learn from each other. "Humans are clever," one of the nobles said softly to Larathia. "They do not just follow rules, they observe, experiment, and improve." Larathia nodded. "Indeed, that is why we value Dr. Harper's presence. He demonstrates that humans thrive not by force, but by intelligence, cooperation, and creativity." Elias watched the interaction with satisfaction. Teaching was as much about building confidence and curiosity as it was about sharing knowledge. Humans had a talent for learning from challenges and helping others learn too. Today, they had shared this talent with an alien species, and the results were visible in the nobles' excitement and confidence. As he walked back to his quarters, Elias reflected on the day. Humans had adapted to a foreign society, collaborated effectively with alien species, and solved complex problems in creative ways. They had proven once again that their strength lay not in physical dominance, but in intelligence, social cooperation, and adaptability. The palace towers glowed softly under the setting sun, their colors reflecting in the streams and floating gardens below. Elias paused to look out over the city, thinking about the days ahead. The challenge of integration was ongoing, but humans had shown they could rise to any test. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities for learning, exchange, and creative problem-solving. Elias knew that humans' ability to adapt, collaborate, and inspire was limitless, and that, in partnership with the Lyranthians, they could achieve extraordinary things. And in the heart of an alien capital, under the watchful gaze of a princess who valued intelligence, curiosity, and cooperation, humans had once again demonstrated the qualities that made them remarkable. Not strength, not rigidity, but the ability to think, learn, and work together to create solutions greater than themselves. The sun rose over Lyranthia, casting soft violet and golden light across the palace towers. Dr. Elias Harper stood on the balcony of his quarters, looking out over the city. The past days had been intense. Demonstrations, interactive exercises, and collaborative projects had shown the Lyranthians' humans' unique abilities. But today would be the culmination, a public event where humans and Lyranthians would work together to demonstrate what both species could achieve through cooperation, creativity, and intelligence. Elias took a deep breath. He felt excitement tinged with nerves. This was not just another demonstration. This was an opportunity to cement mutual understanding, to show that humans were capable not only of adaptation, problem-solving, and creativity, but also of building bridges between species, literally and figuratively. He made his way to the palace courtyard, which had been transformed into a grand arena of floating platforms, glowing gardens, and flowing water channels. A large audience had gathered, including the royal court, nobles, and other citizens. Their curiosity was palpable. They had watched the humans in smaller exercises over the past days, but this was something bigger, a demonstration of partnership and ingenuity on a grand scale. Larathia floated down to meet him, her violet glow softening in the morning light. "Doctor." "Harper," she said, her voice calm but filled with anticipation, "today we will see the results of your work. Humans have adapted, collaborated, and shared knowledge. But can they lead a project alongside Lyranthians, combining creativity with precision?" Elias smiled. "We will do more than lead, Princess. Humans thrive when learning, creating, and sharing together. Today, we will show the strength of partnership." The event began with the introduction of a massive simulation, a sprawling, floating city in need of reconstruction after a simulated environmental disturbance. Bridges were broken, pathways were misaligned, water channels disrupted, and plant growth uneven. Small creatures needed guidance to safely move through the area. The audience watched as the problem appeared, fascinated by the scale and complexity. Elias turned to the team of young Lyranthians. "We will work together. Lyranthians bring precision, observation, and control. Humans bring creativity, adaptability, and problem-solving. By combining these strengths, we can rebuild this city efficiently and safely." The group approached the simulation, and Elias quickly delegated tasks. Some would manage bridges, some would restore pathways, and others would stabilize the water and plants. Elias himself worked with the humans and Lyranthians at the center, coordinating efforts and suggesting innovative approaches. The first challenge was the broken bridges. The Lyranthians applied their careful precision, aligning supports and anchoring structures. Elias suggested a new technique, using flexible polymer strands to create expandable sections, allowing the bridges to adjust to environmental shifts. The Lyranthians were hesitant at first, but Elias guided them, demonstrating the method step by step. Slowly, the bridges began to take shape, stronger and more adaptable than before. Next, they tackled the water channels. Water flowed unpredictably, threatening plant life and small creatures. Elias proposed creating a network of adjustable channels that could respond to changes in flow. The humans and Lyranthians worked side by side, adjusting gates, redirecting streams, and communicating constantly. When a creature ventured too close to a strong current, a Lyranthian guided it to safety, while Elias suggested a temporary barrier. Each solution combined precision and creativity, human ingenuity and alien expertise. The crowd watched, captivated. Many murmured to each other, impressed by how well the two species were working together. The young nobles who had participated in earlier exercises now moved with confidence, applying lessons they had learned from humans while contributing their own knowledge. As they progressed, Elias noticed a problem. One area of the city had unstable floating platforms that kept tilting unexpectedly. The Lyranthians tried to stabilize them using their usual techniques, but the platform's movement required a more dynamic solution. Elias had an idea. "We need something that can adapt as the platforms move," he said. "If we use small, interlocking supports that can shift with the platform, we can stabilize it dynamically." The team followed his instructions, creating a network of flexible supports that adjusted with each tilt. The solution worked perfectly, and the platforms remained stable even under simulated tremors. The audience erupted in applause, marveling at the combination of human creativity and Lyranthian precision. The next task involved plant life. Some areas had plants wilting due to uneven water distribution, while others were overgrown. Elias suggested an adaptive irrigation system, inspired by human agricultural techniques. Small water conduits were placed strategically, and sensors, both human-designed and Lyranthian-designed, regulated flow automatically. The system balanced the ecosystem, keeping plants healthy and allowing small creatures to move safely through the area. Humans observe, adapt, and apply knowledge creatively, Elias explained to the audience. But we also learn from others. Lyranthians bring precision, observation, and environmental understanding. Together, we create solutions neither species could achieve alone. The final task was the movement of creatures. Small, holographic animals were scattered across the city, some trapped on unstable platforms, others near dangerous currents. The team devised a plan. Humans guided creatures using observation, creativity, and problem-solving, while Lyranthians stabilized pathways and ensured safety. By working together, they moved all the creatures to safe zones efficiently. Larathia floated down to the center of the courtyard as the simulation concluded. Her violet glow was bright, reflecting her approval. "Dr. Harper, this is extraordinary. Humans have not only adapted to our society and culture, but they have also collaborated with us to create solutions that are innovative, safe, and efficient. You have shown us the power of partnership and ingenuity." Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you, Princess. Humans learn best when working with others. Our strength lies in creativity, adaptability, and the ability to communicate and collaborate. Together with Lyranthians, we can achieve extraordinary results." The audience erupted in applause. Citizens, nobles, and even the royal court celebrated the success of the collaboration. Many approached Elias and the young Lyranthians, asking questions and expressing admiration. Elias smiled, realizing that humans' greatest achievement was not just the solutions they had created, but the respect, curiosity, and understanding they had fostered. Larathia approached him privately as the crowd dispersed. "Dr. Harper," she said, her tone serious yet warm, "humans have proven something remarkable. You have demonstrated that your species' strength lies not in physical dominance, but in intelligence, creativity, social cooperation, and adaptability. These qualities inspire respect, trust, and even admiration." Elias felt a surge of pride. "Thank you, Princess. That is what humans do best. We adapt, learn, and work together, and we learn even more when we collaborate with others." She smiled. "Perhaps we have much to learn from each other. Your species' ability to thrive in diverse conditions, to solve complex problems, and to collaborate creatively is inspiring. Lyranthians have seen the value of partnership today." Elias nodded. "I hope this is just the beginning. Humans have much to offer and much to learn. Working together, we can build stronger, more resilient communities, on Earth, on Lyranthia, and beyond." The princess's smile softened into something genuine, a rare and sincere expression that Elias had come to recognize as approval. "Then let this day mark the start of a new understanding between our species. You have shown what humans are capable of. Let this be remembered not as a demonstration of superiority, but as a celebration of collaboration and mutual respect." Elias watched the sunset over the crystal towers, their colors reflecting in the water and gardens below. The city looked alive, vibrant, and harmonious, a reflection of what humans and Lyranthians could achieve when combining their strengths. The young nobles approached, thanking him for guidance and sharing their excitement about the possibilities humans had introduced. Elias encouraged their curiosity, answering questions patiently and suggesting new ways to combine creativity with precision. He realized that the seeds of long-term collaboration were being planted. The experience had fostered not just respect, but enthusiasm and inspiration, ensuring that humans' impact would endure. As night fell, the palace glowed softly. Elias returned to his quarters, reflecting on the journey. Humans had come to an alien world faced skepticism, and been challenged in every way. They had adapted biologically, demonstrated problem-solving skills, collaborated with another species, and inspired curiosity and respect. They had done all this without aggression, without dominance, and without force. Their strength lay in intelligence, creativity, social cooperation, and adaptability, qualities that made them remarkable. Larathia's voice echoed in his mind, her words resonating deeply. Your species thrives not because of strength or rigidity, but because of creativity, cooperation, and adaptability. You inspire respect and admiration. Elias smiled, knowing she was right. Humans' greatest achievements came from thought, collaboration, and ingenuity. They had shown that even in the face of alien skepticism and unfamiliar environments, they could succeed, not through force, but through intelligence, patience, and cooperation. In the quiet of his quarters, Elias looked out over the city, thinking about the future. Humans and Lyranthians had begun a partnership, one built on mutual respect, shared learning, and creative collaboration. The possibilities were limitless. Together, they could explore new challenges, innovate solutions, and foster understanding across worlds. And in the heart of an alien capital, under the watchful eyes of a princess who valued intelligence, curiosity, and cooperation, humans had proven once more that their greatest strength was not in what they were born with, but in how they thought, worked, and learned together. Humanity's mark on Lyranthia was only beginning, but it was already undeniable. They had shown that intelligence, creativity, and social cooperation were powers that could inspire admiration, change perceptions, and build bridges, literally and figuratively, across worlds. Elias lay down that night, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. Humans had faced every challenge with ingenuity, patience, and cooperation. They had adapted to a foreign culture, solved complex problems, and inspired curiosity and respect. The story of humans on Lyranthia was not just a tale of survival or capability. It was a celebration of the qualities that made them remarkable: thought, creativity, and collaboration. And as the stars shone above the alien towers, Elias knew that humans' journey was far from over. But one thing was certain: they had proven themselves once again, not through force, but through intelligence, ingenuity, and the power of working together.